As you all know, my taste in Sonic games has changed kind of drastically over these past few months. You can see it a lot when comparing my tier list from just 4 months ago to now. There are a lot of changes. A game that resided comfortably in C tier was Sonic Superstars. Now let's make one thing clear, C tier doesn't necessarily mean I think the game is bad. C tier is essentially a 7 out of 10, and people keep forgetting that. So even back then I didn't hate it, but there were definitely things that I thought were holding it back from being really good. However, recently I played Sonic 1 with a changed mindset, and safe to say I love that game a lot more than I did back then. So I decided, if I can learn to love Sonic 1, then why not give Sonic Superstars another shot? Now, this other shot was me playing strictly time attack levels. I'd already beaten the game, and for reasons that you probably already know, I didn't really want to go back and experience the game as a whole again. I will talk about that in due time though, don't worry. So yeah, booted up the game, and for an entire day, I did basically nothing except time attack each level in Superstars over and over again. And then the next day rolled around, and I did it again, and again, and oh my god. Where have you been all my life? Years, I've been yearning for another great classic game. Disregarding this one is nothing but the leftovers of a potential Mania 2. Little did I know, some of the greatest levels in all of Sonic have been lying under my fucking nose this entire time. The stages are banger after banger after... that one could be a little better. After banger! I came out of my time with Superstars with newfound appreciation, hell, newfound sexual attraction to this game. I'm not bisexual anymore. I'm trisexual. And the third one is Superstars. Now, before all this Superstars glaze that's about to erupt out of my you-know-what, I do think some things need to be pointed out. Negatives. I actually have quite a few, as a matter of fact. Despite what you may think, I'm perfectly capable and willing to point out flaws of games I love. I hate that agenda shit people push with their favorite games, because all it is just people acting like their favorite games have absolutely zero flaws, and I find that incredibly annoying. It is okay to like games with flaws, so don't be afraid to mention them. You don't have to defend everything about your game. You don't have to defend things that are clearly negatives. Oh yeah, and if you can't tell by now, this is just a full Superstars review. I'm just spoiling my thoughts on the game in the first minute. But anyways, before I get to the shit you care about, subscribe if you like what you're seeing so far, and hey, if you want to go the extra mile, subscribe to my Patreon, link in the description, for as low as $2.50 a month, and get access to new videos early. Alright, back to it. I think the first thing I gotta start off with is that this game sounds like shit, in more ways than one. Now, obviously the first thing that comes to mind when I say this is the music, and yes, this is a weird-ass soundtrack, because you have two different artists going for two wildly different styles, and one of them is clearly better than the other. We've got T. Lopes and Jun Sonoe. Both of these legends should need no introduction. If you don't know them, catch up, you got a lot to learn. T. Lopes returns with his usual style that was heard throughout Mania, and it's all really good. Tracks like Bridge Island are an absolute earworm in my opinion. They sound just so amazing. Can we... Jamie, pull up Bridge Island Act 1. Alright, now give me a bit of Pinball Carnival. Yeah, some good shit, right? Jun Sonoe, on the other hand, is going for something more akin to Sonic 4 with the fake Genesis bullshit. Sonoe is an absolutely amazing composer, so it kinda sucks to see him dip back down into mediocrity. I don't really think I have to explain myself, it just doesn't sound good. Which is a shame, because like Sonic 4, I can actually see the vision with a lot of these tracks, because the actual melodies are pretty good for the most part. It's the instrumentation that fucks everything up. We should be past this fake retro shit. We're in 2.5D now, man. Get with the times. But aside from that, there is another sound-related issue I have. The sound mixing. Oh my god, the sound mixing in this game is genuinely atrocious. I think it's the worst in the entire franchise, to be honest. Sometimes it's fine, and then sometimes random lasers or buzzsaws are so loud. I genuinely was playing one time and I thought I was either getting robbed or something in my house had broken. Yeah, I didn't play much Superstars after that for a bit. It's mainly obstacles like the one I mentioned prior that are just ridiculously loud for no reason. Just bump it down, please. It's actually horrible. I actually play with Superstars with extremely low volume most of the time because of this alone. It's horrible. With all the negativity surrounding this game, I'm shocked I haven't seen more people mention this specifically. Now, the other big negative is one that everyone saw coming, the bosses. Yeah, these are really, really bad. Because of this game's focus on multiplayer, they didn't want you to be able to shred through these bosses with 4 players in the span of 4 seconds. So to balance this, they make every single boss extremely long and tedious with over 10 seconds of invincibility sometimes. These bosses are so long and drawn out, and they just aren't fun. I don't really know what else to add when it comes to this because I'm not really saying anything new. It's also hard to drag on the negatives of the bosses because Yeah, long and drawn out. That is why they're bad. Not that Sonic bosses have ever been good, apart from a few small exceptions. Casino Night, Sonic 2 boss, I love you. However, the bosses present in Superstars are absolutely bottom of the barrel. Worse than the entire franchise. Final boss is weird because I actually think it's a little fun. The thing is, it's only fun when you know how to beat it and haven't been replaying it trying to beat it for over an hour. This was everyone's experience with the boss. Like, yeah, it can be fun, but it's usually not. It is the definition of trial and error, and while that can be fun sometimes, it's just not here. Now, let's backtrack real quick to where I said this game's bosses are largely bad because they try to accommodate multiplayer. This game's whole marketing made it seem like the new Super Mario Bros. Of Sonic, when that's dumb. Sonic levels fundamentally don't work in the multiplayer format because of how fast they are compared to Mario games. You'd think because of this, they'd change the way the game feels or butcher the level design so it accommodates for multiplayer. After all, they did it for the bosses. Well, the level design actually isn't affected, like, at all by this. Not really, at least. The only main thing is these loops in each level that requires you to go through them a certain amount of times, clearly put there for multiplayer. Aside from that, though, that's it. The levels are, like, a bit more open to accommodate different playstyles of each character, which just means you won't take certain paths if you're a certain character, which, that's fine. I don't see that as a negative at all. These levels don't feel like compromises, which, actually, let me wrap up talking about the negatives so I can start talking about levels. So, wait, if I have a lot of negatives about this game, then how is it in S tier? I mean, how is it my second favorite Sonic game? Well, the reasoning is that most of these negatives have absolutely nothing to do with the core content of the game, the levels and gameplay. Superstars has a lot of problems, however the reason it remains in S tier is because, personally, gameplay and level design is the most important thing to me, and if both of these are good, then it is extremely easy to avoid the rest. Now, I'm not using this as an excuse for the game to look like shit or have horrible sound mixing or bad music, because I'm not. These are legitimate problems with the game that I do find pretty heinous. However, the core content of the game, the levels, are immaculate. Yes, the bosses are terrible, but let's be real. This is a Sonic game. This game is made to be replayed over and over, and for that, you're going to be going to Time Attack where there are no bosses, just the levels. I have to make it clear, this is not excusing the poor bosses of the game. I'm just pointing out where my priorities lie, and if said priorities are handled extremely well, then it is easy for me to overlook these issues and not have them interfere with my overall opinions of the game. But now I get to start talking about the good shit. The levels and Superstars. I think I'm going to talk about them generally first, then go to them individually to talk about individual strengths they have. Sound good? Bro, I asked you a question. I said sound good? Fuck you, dude, whatever. The levels in Superstars feel like the final form of what Sonic 3 and Knuckles was going for. As you may or may not notice, each of the classic games are placed on a spectrum ranging from speed to platformer. Sonic 1 and CD are veered way over to the platformer side, with Sonic 2 all the way over to the speed side. Sonic 3 wanted to create a perfect balance of speed and platforming, and it did a pretty good job. There is a good mixture of both speed and platforming. However, I don't love the way it was handled. Now, this is a purely preferential opinion, so don't get mad at me. I'm not gonna really defend this one too much. I'm not that passionate about it. I didn't find the platforming to be as fun as the platforming in Sonic 1 or CD, and I didn't find the moments of speed to be as fun or exhilarating as they were in Sonic 2. This made for a game that, in my opinion, didn't have the best of both worlds. Mania actually did a pretty great job of keeping this balance while making both sides more fun, in my opinion. However, Superstars? This is it. This is, in my opinion, the greatest balance of platforming and speed. The platforming is extremely fun, and the speed is extremely fun, and they're balanced pretty perfectly. While there are still clearly dedicated platforming and dedicated speed sections, I feel as though, as a whole, both speed and platforming are perfectly balanced. It's pretty hard for me to describe all this in a way that isn't, but balance is great because you're able to go fast in the platforming sections. Because yeah, no shit. Most of the classic games have this, but to me, Superstars just... Bro, I don't have a fucking explanation. It's just a beautiful balance. You ever look at art? Sometimes you don't know what the meaning of it truly is, but despite that, something about it just can move you so much you end up in tears. This is me with trying to explain the Sonic Superstars platforming speed balance. The player expression in this game is absolutely beautiful as well. It is something I love dearly about Sonic games, and they nail it here. So many opportunities exist for you to take advantage of your environment in fun and creative ways, and it feels like the game is constantly acknowledging you for your skill and congratulating you for it, with maybe a new path you haven't seen, or maybe a shortcut, or a collectible, or just something like that. Classic games usually nail this pretty well for the most part. However, again, I just feel as though Superstars does it nearly perfectly, only second to CD. These levels are jam-packed with so much shit, so many different paths, yet none of it feels unnecessary or bloated. It doesn't feel like it's open for just the sake of being open, and I love that. But now, let's start talking about the levels themselves. Bridge Island, yeah, this stage is the second greatest opener in all of the franchise, right beside Sonic 1 and Green Hill. For being an introductory stage, there is so much here. So many opportunities to achieve a great flow state, so many fun gimmicks. It's so open for an introductory stage as well. You walk forward a bit, have one slope, and then boom! You're instantly able to access like 3 to 4 whole layers at the fucking start! Sonic 2 got a little upset if you wanted to have any more than 2 layers even near the end of the game, so to have Bridge Island open with so many options, it's fucking awesome actually. It's an easy stage, it's not hard, but still feels incredibly rewarding to master. Speed Jungle keeps the pace going extremely well with another stage that has immaculate flow and great platforming to boot. I think the star of the show here is easily the vines, which act as rails. They have an interesting property where if you gain enough speed, you'll start rail grinding on them. But it always shoots you up to a certain speed, meaning you'll always be going fast, and it's exhilarating. Because of the constant speed and bumpiness of the rails, there's also plenty of opportunities for slope jumping, which, yeah, slope jumping is incredibly fun. Give me more of it and I'm happy. Great stage. Act 2 had me a bit worried with the Sonic 4 torch-ass gimmick, but it's really not a problem at all. It just kind of makes it a cropped 4x3 classic game for a bit, which it's kind of pointless. Not sure why it's here, but it's still a good act, so I don't care that much. Sky Temple is a 1-act zone, which, oh yeah, there are a couple of 1-act zones in this game, and I'm completely neutral on them. Well, neutral on the concept. It has the length of 2 acts, so it's not like you really missed out on more of the stage, so I'm not really upset at all. It's just a little weird. Another really solid stage with a 1 gimmick that isn't super fun, which means it is super fun when you're good enough to skip it. You don't have to be that good to skip it, so feels good. Even if you get caught in the wind, it's still a super fun stage, doesn't distract. A lot of people hate the breakout sections, and while I do get it, I don't know, man, I think it's really fun to get a good run of the stage where you get through the breakout sections in like 5 seconds flat, man. Shit is really fun in my opinion. Also, there's only like 2 or 3 in the entire stage, and they're all pretty quick, so I don't mind it at all, and matter of fact, I like it. I like the bit at the end as well. It's like a mini Generations classic Crisis City. I dig it. It's pretty cool. Pinball Carnival is a good-ass time. I've always really liked these pinball stages in Sonic, actually. I find them super fun, and if you're good at them, they can be an absolute blast to, well, blast through. Act 2 stole everyone's hearts with this spooky Halloween motif, which is incredibly charming. I really adore this roller coaster section. If anything, I wish it lasted a bit longer and had a bit more depth. I'm not going to say much more about the stage because I'm probably going to actually make a video soon-ish about pinball levels, so stay tuned for that. Lagoon City is another really fun one. I really like the water slide gimmick, and I think the geysers are really neat. Nothing much to say, really good stage, however, I'm not a fan of Act 2. Act 2 takes place pretty much entirely underwater, which means it's just not very fun. Which is a shame because the level design for it isn't necessarily bad, it's just water physics make everything worse. It'd be fine if the water sections were, like, optional, but they aren't. It's nearly a whole stage submerged, and I just don't like that very much. Regardless though, Act 1 is still really good. Now, Sand Sanctuary is a personal favorite of mine. The platforming in this stage is really fun. It's a slower paced stage with a stronger emphasis on platforming, but I don't mind that at all because it's done really well. I love the added verticality for trying to get up to the highest path. I really wish there were more vertically oriented zones like this because it stands out a ton in my mind. If anything, I wish the snake gimmick was used a bit more because it doesn't really change things up as much as I think it should. And there's a variation of the snake that bounces you, which is really fun. However, it's used like twice. I really love the stage. My biggest complaint is just that I wish there was a tad bit more. Press Factory is probably the most forgettable zone in the game, at least Act 1. Its whole gimmick is every couple of seconds this thing in the background falls down, which makes you jump alongside other stage elements. It's kind of just a forgettable stage. Act 2, on the other hand, while still not super memorable, is a lot more fun with this button gimmick akin to Sandopolis, except I feel like it's baked into the level way more naturally here. Fun stage, just not much to say about it. Golden Capital is a really neat one. Although it looks like shit, it's actually pretty fun. It's got a lot of pinball elements to it without being a full-on pinball level. I really love that. Fun platforming, fun speed. A lot of people shit on this level, and I kind of get it, but I also kind of don't. I think this stage is a lot of fun. Act 2 is more the same, but, you know, in a good way. However, it occasionally has these on-rail bits that I don't love, but I don't think they're as bad as everyone says. They're pretty short, all things considering, and while I would definitely say they break the pace, it's really not that bad. However, this does mean I'm probably just going to replay Golden Capital Act 1, considering both acts are just kind of similar, except one has a better pace. Cyberstation is the last 1-act zone of the game, and it's pretty neat. Yet for some weird reason that I can't explain, I don't absolutely adore it like everyone else seems to. It's a really neat stage, though. I think the voxel art style used for the stage and characters are really charming, going for this nostalgic kind of look without looking too much like those so retro styled shit that I'm sure you've seen before. The transformations are really nice, even if I fucking suck at the bit with the mouse. Good stage, but again, not absolutely head over heels for it like a lot of other people. Now, Frozen Base is one that's absolutely slept on. The main gimmick with the stage revolves around these treadmills, either going left or right, and the direction can be changed with a switch you can jump past to activate. Proper use of the treadmills and making sure to switch them at the right time is key to getting a good run. If you take the highest path though, you won't be seeing much of them after the start as you reach the peak of the mountain, where way less machinery, including the treadmills, resides. Rest assured though, the top path is still incredibly fun and engaging. This section at the end is also really good. An earthquake or something is happening, and you need a platform as these chunks of mountain are rising, falling, and spreading apart, and it's one of my favorite sections of the entire game. Getting a good flow state where you don't stop once is one of many synonyms for fun. I love it. One of my favorite stages of the game. Act 2 is Phantasy Star. Not a bad stage, but let's be real, I'm replaying Sonic stages for Sonic levels, not Phantasy Star, and this isn't a Sonic level. Neat stage, like, it is fun, but I'm just not going to replay it ever again. Egg Fortress is the last zone of the game, and admittedly, it's probably my least favorite in the game. I wouldn't say it's bad, but as a zone, especially a final one, it didn't hit too much. Mainly because of Act 2. Act 1 is pretty good. I wouldn't call it, like, great, but it's an enjoyable time. However, Act 2 is just the stage reversed, and while that's a really cool, like, gimmick concept, it really just feels like you're playing the same stage again, but slightly worse. Kind of a wet fart to go out on, but, like, dude, I'll take a 92% score, dude. This game is great. Well, that's it, right? Well, not quite, because I'm only now remembering to talk about Trip, so let me talk about her real quick. Trip is the most fun character ever in any classic Sonic game. Yeah. Instead of having the drop dash, she has a double jump alongside Knuckles' wall climb. Having a double jump at Sonic levels works, and it just feels amazing. Trip is my go-to character when time attacking. I adore her so much. It's such a perfect moveset. She's got good abilities without being necessarily broken. It's a really good balance. It's a shame we're never gonna see her ever again. Well, what have we learned? That I don't know how to wrap up videos well. Superstars is a great game, and while it has glaring flaws, I wish people took a look at the core of the experience more than the things that clearly aren't the focus of the game, like the bosses. This game obviously has its flaws, plenty of them, but that core experience, man. These levels are some of the most well-designed and fun levels in all of Sonic, and honestly, this is, in my opinion, Sonic 3 perfected. I'd love to see another classic game like this. Obviously, fix up its flaws, make sure it actually looks and sounds good, and I think we'd have a unanimously praised Sonic game on our hands. Unfortunately though, as is, Superstars is a game that most people just sort of ignore. It's not important enough in most people's eyes to be given a second chance, and it's not popular enough as Frontiers to have a bunch of people that scream the game's praises. You know, not that Frontiers is anywhere near as good as Superstars, but you get what I mean. What I want you to take away from this video is, boot up Superstars, open up Time Attack, and give all these levels a couple playthroughs. I really think you'll change your mind at least a little bit. And after all this, if it's not for you, so be it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my Patreon if you want to go the extra mile. I'll see you next time. Peace.